Have you ever wondered why, when it comes to matters of the heart, that old saying, absence makes the heart grow fonder, seems to hold true in so many people's experiences? In fact, there's a phenomenon known as no contact, which is essentially about our exes coming back into our lives after a period of absence from all communication. And in a world where staying connected is easier than ever, it often seems like to actually take that space and stop contacting our ex after a breakup is very painful and even counterintuitive. However, the decision to actually swear by no contact has been profoundly successful for so many people, not just for their own healing journey and experience, but also for their ex to return into their lives. And in today's video, I'm going to take you through exactly what no contact is. We're also going to discuss how to actually use no contact for your own healing and in a healthy way so that we avoid any kind of potential manipulation that could occur because the no contact rule is actually that powerful. And if you stick around until the end, I will take you through an exercise for what we can do post no contact working to make sure if we decide to restart an old relationship with an ex, we do so on the right terms. Now, if you're new here, my name is Gibson, and I'm the founder of the Personal Development School. And we run online programs for people navigating breakup trauma, attachment trauma. And we've actually had a 97.7% success rate or NPS score with over 30,000 people who have come through our programs. So, if you're not familiar already, the no contact rule is this idea that we cut off all contact with an ex as soon as a relationship ends. And a statistic actually from BetterHelp tells us that with or without no contact, 44% of couples break up and then get back together at least once in the life cycle of their relationship. But no contact is shown to increase these chances of getting back together by up to 50%. So, what is actually included in no contact, and how do we understand what the purpose is? Well, no contact actually means no contact. And what I've found over and over again, both in client practice and through our programs, is that some people tend to try to justify no contact being broken, right? For these things that we must do. Things like picking up items or dropping items off, or things like, sending a text or engaging on social media because we have mutual friends. No contact is violated as soon as we do any of those things. So no contact means no text messages, no memes, no picking up or dropping things off, no excuses to communicate in any sort of way, no social media exchanges, watching stories, commenting, reacting. It actually means none. And for the power of no contact to actually be leveraged, we need to be able to stick to those guidelines and boundaries. Now, why does no contact work and what is the actual purpose? Well, of course, the purpose is for the person that we're out of the relationship with to realize and have a chance to basically feel about and recognize what they've lost. But beyond that, there's another really powerful set of reasons why no contact matters. And I think these should really be the North Star reasons more than anything else. And they're that it helps us release a romanticized view of a partner or ex by actually not being exposed to them at all, by actually taking that space in a clean way. And second to that, it allows for our healing, right? It actually allows for us, especially if we struggle with any form of codependency or being really externally focused on our partner, it actually allows for us to have healing through that space and through being forced to focus on ourselves. Now, another very common question that I'll get asked around this is how long should we stay in no contact for? For it to work both for ourselves as individuals, but also for it to work in a relationship to see if our partner, in fact, may reconsider getting back together. And the answer is we want a 30-day minimum. Now, this is a very generalized view of no contact. If somebody tends to be more emotionally closed off and has a difficult time expressing their feelings or opening up, Well, in that case, we actually want to extend that period of time for up to 45 days. And the reason for this is that the more repressive types in relationships tend to spend the first 30 days easily actually disconnecting from their feelings, not really paying much attention to processing their emotions. And it usually isn't until they've had at least 6 weeks to really move through what emotions they are experiencing and really consider that they'll actually start to recognize, oh, I do miss my ex, or oh, there were situations here where maybe I jumped the gun on leaving the relationship too quickly. And so we generally want to go up to 45 days unless somebody is much more emotionally expressive and open in a relationship dynamic. Now, once we've gone this period of time, how can we make sure that we are using no contact to the best of our ability? And I'm going to go through an exercise in a moment for what we can do if our ex does come back and how to really leverage things and start them off on the right foot. But how can we basically use no contact when we are going no contact itself? And the answer to this is that we want to be in a position while doing no contact where we are actually working to heal from the breakup itself. Now, a lot of people will be afraid. Oh, if I try to heal from the breakup, what if then I don't want to get back together with my partner? What if the no contact theory doesn't actually come true or work out for me? And the answer is you will always be better off rekindling the relationship once you've had time to heal from the voids that were left behind by your ex, because it will put you in a more stable space when you restart the relationship to be less reactive and less fearful and not attaching too quickly to somebody in a way that could accidentally cause them to feel overwhelmed and push away yet again.
So, I have some really exciting news, and it's that integrated attachment theory training is back. So, who is this for? Well, of course, this is for any individual who wants to make an impact and really be of service to others while also obtaining freedom and flexibility and abundance in their lives. And this is also for anybody who's already a counselor, a therapist, a coach, and just really wants to expand their toolkit. We've had so many people enter into the integrated attachment theory program because they're just looking to obtain a certain degree of mastery in terms of understanding their own attachment patterns and also the attachment patterns of maybe their children or partner or other loved ones in their lives so they can really support those people and understand them more deeply. So if you're interested, click the link below to learn more and dive in with me. And I'd love to see you on the other side before seats run out.
Now, what do I mean by this? How do we heal those actual voids that the ex left behind? Well, I think it's really important that we recognize when we are healing from a breakup, we have to understand, what are we actually healing from? What are we actually grieving? And this sounds like a really morbid kind of example here, but I think it's really important to point out that when we go through a breakup, we are not grieving the person's physical form. We're not grieving their physical body, right? If their physical body in this morbid example was sitting in your bedroom unalive, you wouldn't be feeling like, oh, I'm completely fine that we broke up because their physical body is here. So what we're actually grieving is the invisible. And the invisible is still tangible. And what I mean by this is that what we are actually grieving is the needs that that person met in our lives. And what happens when we attach is our mind, when we attach to somebody, gets used to getting needs met through a person. And it basically gets conditioned to learn to rely on that person as a source of those needs. An example of this could be if somebody meets the need to make you feel entertained through humor or laughter. Or maybe somebody meets the need for emotional connection because they ask you deep questions. Or maybe they make you feel seen or protected. When somebody's meeting these needs, when we attach to the person, we also attach to those needs being met through them. And all of a sudden, we are in a position where we connect with that person. Our subconscious gets those sources of needs being met. And when we break up with them, it feels like there's a void, there's a hole left behind where those needs were being met by that person. And so part of healing from a breakup, while we're in that 30 to 40-day period, 45-day period of no contact, actually means that we want to be showing up to meet the needs for ourselves and through other healthy people in our lives from when our ex broke up with us. So, for example, if our ex made us feel seen, we might see ourselves more and feel more connected to understanding ourselves by journaling, by meditating, by being more present in our bodies. If somebody made us feel emotionally connected to, we may, in that particular case, try to emotionally connect to ourselves by asking ourselves deeper questions about what we're looking for in our lives or what's meaningful to us, or playing different games that help us introspect more deeply into ourselves. We may also meet these needs through other healthy and trusted sources in our lives, things like our close friends or family members. But what we want to be able to do is actually write out what needs did my ex meet in a relationship, and how can I make sure I'm meeting these needs in the relationship to myself? So if we do re enter into healthy communion or connection, after this no contact has taken place, I am stable and rooted and grounded in myself and ready to start the relationship off on a better foot. It's often when we haven't met those needs that we will over attach to somebody, cling too much, and then get too triggered if any little thing goes wrong, potentially causing more arguments and conflict and even sabotaging the relationship as a result. So, what do we do as an exercise here together to make sure that if somebody does come back after no contact, and we're increasing our chances of this by doing so, both for our own healing, but also increasing chances of having a healthy relationship with somebody if they're ready to come back and do the work with you, is question one, we have to ask ourselves, what was not working for me before? And what can we do differently this time around to improve the quality of the connection in this relationship? And once you've taken some time to really think about those things, you want to not only recognize what wasn't working before, but come up with a healthy, proactive strategy to communicate so that we don't just argue about the same things. Instead, we're prepared the next time around to say, hey, this wasn't working, but here's what we can do instead. Number two, you want to ask yourself what needs were not being met in our relationship that caused us to feel disconnected? And how can I make sure I meet these needs more often? Now, I'll give you a tip about some needs here. We tend to have different needs based on the characteristics of who we are in a relationship. Some more anxious people in relationships tend to need a lot more validation, reassurance, certainty in relationships, for plans, for texting. They often need a lot more consistency around the communication. And then we have individuals who tend to be a little bit more avoidant, as well as individuals who tend to kind of go both ways. They can have a little bit of each side of those characteristics. But the more avoidant individuals tend to need more freedom, they tend to need more acknowledgement, appreciation, empathy, supportiveness, and acceptance in relationships. And so, what we want to be able to do is come up with healthy ways to foster these needs being met between both parties, because even though we may have different needs at times, somebody needs more freedom, somebody needs more connection, we can come up with ways to show up for both individuals, right? We can have somebody have free time to themselves or to do their own thing on Sunday mornings and Thursday and Tuesday evenings, and we can have time for connection on other evenings of the week where we have somebody become really present and make an effort to show up, to be, phones off, and really be present in the interaction. So we can have like connection and freedom, even though they seem like different things, they're not mutually exclusive. It's not one or the other. So needs and the exchanging of needs are basically the lifeblood of relationships. They're how our relationships go around and how we feel nourished and connected in our relationships in a thriving way. It helps us really feel like we are thriving with one another. And so when we can make sure that we've held no contact, made sure that in holding no contact, we enter into phase two, which is doing the internal work to meet our own needs and learn what they are, and then move into phase three and see what other needs weren't being met from the relationship and how can we talk about what wasn't working and turn this around. We can make sure that we're dramatically increasing the percentage chance that things can work out, and we're making sure that we're setting ourselves up if we do get back together with somebody for them to also want to do the work with us to create new patterns and have a new type of relationship rather than just falling back into the same old patterns from before. So, Hopefully this video was helpful for you. If you want to actually for free do a much deeper dive into this topic, I have a course called How to Heal from a Breakup. It includes how to navigate no contact in a very detailed way. It talks about all the different strategies and tools. It even gives you some communication tips on how to better communicate when re-entering into connection after no contact has ended. And I'll put a link to that fully free to check out for a limited time down below. If you are enjoying this video and channel, please also consider subscribing, liking, sharing, and I can't wait to see you in our future videos. Thank you for watching.